Come on in, pull up a chair and take a load off because today I'll be sharing a bit of a how to play as well as reviewing the Shores of Tripoli, which is from Fort Circle Games. Is this historically themed two-player card-driven game deserving of a place in your collection? Or should you let this game design just sail on past? Well, you're going to find out right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, I will be reviewing the Shores of Tripoli in just a moment. But first, I do want to remind you, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I upload videos such as this review, it'll also tell you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs right here on YouTube, Monday through Thursday nights, as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right, without further ado, I am diving on into the Shores of Tripoli, which is from Fort Circle Games. It's designed by Kevin Bertram, with artwork provided by Kat Bach, Mark Rodriguez, and Matthew Wallhead. The game is for 1 or 2 players. There is a solitaire element to it. It's for ages 14 and up, plays in around 45 to 60 minutes, and carries an MSRP of $66. Do want to mention the fine folks over at Fort Circle Games did send me this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share my thoughts about this game with you. It's important that you know that. Let's swing on over to the other camera because I've got the Shores of Tripoli set up. So what we're going to do is we'll kind of tour around. I'll talk a little bit about the game itself. I will zoom in. We'll get a better look at the cards and the artwork on the cards and that, and kind of discuss some of the gameplay. But first of all, essentially, the Shores of Tripoli is about the confrontation between the fledgling United States Navy and the corsairs of the Barbary Coast, who were mainly from Tripolitania. They were from some other Arab nations as well, but mainly the corsairs were coming out of Tripoli. So what was going on for centuries? These pirates were demanding tribute from various different nations in order for them not to go about and raid their shipping. And early on, the United States was paying the pirates tribute. And then in the late 18th century, they decided, you know what? Enough is enough. We can't afford to continue to be paying these pirates. So President Thomas Jefferson sent over a flotilla of the United States Navy, and that is where this game will pick up. So essentially, what the American player is trying to do is they're trying to subdue the pirates, whereas the pirate player is essentially looking to survive the American attacks, as well as attempt to continue to pirate shipping. That, in essence, is what's going on. This is a card-driven game, so if you are familiar with such classics as Twilight Struggle or 1960 or any of the other great historically based card-driven games from GMT, you're going to feel right at home playing the Shores of Tripoli. So this is the African coast, essentially. Each of these circles represents a port. So if it is in blue, that means it is friendly to the American Navy. If it is in red, that means that it is essentially being controlled by the pirates. And if we have orange, that means it is a potential ally for the pirates as well. Now, when this game opens, Sweden is actually at war with the pirates. So it is possible for the American player to get Swedish frigates. These ships are frigates, whereas if it's blue, if it's American, that's a gunboat. If it's red, this is considered a corsair for the pirate player. But all of these tokens with this shape are frigates, which are powerful ships, powerful warships, whereas the gunboats and the corsairs, not so much. But the corsairs are what the pirates use to go pirating. So these circles here, or I should say these areas here, these are patrol areas. So essentially, the American player is going to want to set up patrols in order to try to stop the corsairs from getting out into the open ocean and wreaking havoc on shipping, because there are 2 ways for the Americans to win this game. There are 3 ways for the pirates to win this game. For the Americans to win, they can invade Tripoli and take it over, because at a certain point in the game, the Americans are able to ally themselves with some other Arab nations, and they will actually invade with an army made up of Arab troops as well as U.S. Marines. The Shores of Tripoli, right? So if they're able to take over Tripoli, then that is an American win. Or there are some prerequisites that are in place, and the American player has to play a treaty card. And if they check all the boxes, then essentially the pirates, they basically will sign a peace treaty. So, and then they will no longer be bothering American shipping. Now, the pirates, on the other hand, they can win by sinking 4 American frigates. So that is one of their win conditions. They can win if they defeat the army that comes through and invades Tripoli. So if they defeat that army, they automatically win. Once again, they automatically win if they sink the 4 frigates. And when the corsairs get out there in the open sea and they're pirating, it's possible for them to basically capture enemy shipping and get gold coins. There are 12 gold coins. If the pirate player ever has all 12 coins, then essentially what's happened is they have just made this ongoing war just too costly in blood and treasure for the Americans, and the Americans give up. So, and then the pirates win that way as well. These cubes here, these cubes represent land forces, and we do see that we've got the white here. These are Arab allies, and then we've got some blue, which are the Marines as well. Various different cards are going to bring these into play. So what's going to happen is the game is broken up into years. Basically, these are rounds. So each round is going to consist of 4 seasons. So you're going to begin, it's 1801, and the American fleet has arrived in Gibraltar, which, strangely enough, we also have some corsairs there as well. And because Gibraltar's controlled by the British, and they're staying out of it. So this is a completely neutral port. So these corsairs can stay in this port. That's why we have this little patrol zone here for the U.S. as well. So what's going to happen is each of the players, each side has 3 event cards that are going to automatically be available to them. These can be played at any time during their turn. And we've got the Americans here, and we have the pirates here. So these events, once they're played as events, are actually removed from the game. There are a lot of events that are going to be removed from the game once they have been played as an event. Got to point out, there are some cards as well for a solitaire edition of the game that have to be removed from the Pirates deck. But what'll happen is, to start each year, each player is going to draw 6 cards. Oops. Keeping in mind that you still have, if you still have, these cards have not been played as events, then they're still available to you as well. So you would have your hand of cards as well as whatever events have not been played of those 3 that are in front of you, and you're going to be able to utilize those. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can get a better look at the very cool artwork on the cards, and I'll kind of show you what's going on as far as the gameplay. Okay. So, in essence, the game starts off and the pirates are really strong in Tripoli. So it's not going to be easy for the Americans to just walk on in here and take this over. So just to kind of give you an idea of some of these cards, these are the event cards that the pirate player is going to begin with. These are the 3 that the American player begins with. So anyway, Sweden's at war with the pirates already. So it's possible for the U.S. player to play. The Swedish frigates arrive, and they will have some allied frigates that are going to patrol outside of Tripoli. But what actually did historically happen is the Swedes and the pirates signed a peace treaty. So eventually, at some point, these are probably going to disappear. So one of the cool aspects about this game is, with a lot of these events, it's sort of like, do I hang on to it till later so I might get a lot more use out of it? Maybe, it's a more powerful event. Or do I kind of, like, for an example, like these Swedish frigates, do I use this right away so I get these, knowing that it's very possible that the pirate player is going to be able to play a card to get rid of these sooner rather than later? Or do I keep an eye out on the cards that the pirate player discards, and maybe if they discard that peace card, then I bust this out, knowing that I'll have these frigates for a while, because the pirate player wouldn't get that card back until the reshuffle of the decks. So it's kind of interesting. Once you understand all the various different cards, and it's going to take a few game plays before you understand which cards are actually in these decks, what they do. But once you get an understanding of it, there's a really nice, like, layer of bluffing involved, and some tension, and really kind of trying to balance when is the best time to play an event as an event, and when is a good time to play a card to do a basic action. So as an example, I'll get these out of the way. But the artwork's really cool. Really do like these cards. The cards are nice linen finish as well. They're a little thin, but they should hold up. Of course, I would definitely recommend sleeving these no matter what, because they will get shuffled up quite a bit, especially if this game makes its way to your table quite often. So there are battle cards and there are event cards that can be utilized. So if you use an event card, so for an example, like this one here doesn't get removed from the game if it's played as an event. So this would allow me to move up to 4 American frigates and resolve any battles that result. Now, you may have noticed I had frigates sitting on the time track for the various different years, because as the years go on, the Americans actually add more frigates to their available fleet. But as an example, let's say I decided I'm just going to play, let's grab another one that's a discard. There we go. General Eaton attacks Benghazi. So I'm going to use this as just as a discard. I'm not going to play this as an event. So it allows me to do one of 2 things. I can add a gunboat to Malta, And gunboats are not as powerful as frigates. And the American player can only have a maximum of 3 gunboats at any one time. But this does help add to your fleet. I can do that. Or I can discard the card to be able to move 2 frigates. And I can move them wherever I want to. I can split them up like this. Although, right now, Tunis is not allied with the pirates, so I would not be here. But just to kind of give you an idea, you can split them up. So those are the things that the American player can do. Now, discarding a card for the pirate player, they can build a corsair. So the pirate player can have a maximum of 9 corsairs at any time. Or they can also send their corsairs out from Tripoli out on a pirate raid. So what happens with battles? So if it's only a naval battle, and let's say as an example, let's say we've got this. And I decided I was going to go and I was going to attack the port in Tripoli, which would be silly for me to do this, but it is a possibility. What you're going to do is you're going to roll your dice. So frigates get to roll 2 dice. So I would get to roll 6 dice as the American. Now, if I had battle cards, I could play a battle card to modify what's going on in this battle. So I get hits on a 6. Well, that was a big waste of time. So, of course, the pirates get to fight back. So the pirates, how many frigates we have? We got 2 frigates, and then we've got 5 corsairs. So we'll roll the 2 frigates. No hits on that. And then the gunboats and the corsairs only roll 1 die. Once again, needing a 6. All right, so there would be a hit. So one of my frigates would be damaged. It takes 2 hits to sink a frigate. It takes 1 hit to sink a corsair or a gunboat. So what would happen here is this would actually get moved to the next year on the track. So I would basically have lost the use of this frigate until next year because it's now being repaired. If there were 2 hits, then I would have lost a frigate. And if an American frigate gets sunk, then the pirate player is going to take that as a trophy. Because remember, sink 4 and the pirate player wins. But let's say, as an example, I actually had my frigates on patrol out here. And I decided, okay, the pirate player discards a card. Say, okay, they discarded that. They're going to send them out on a pirate raid. So they're going to send them and they're going to go out into the patrol area. My American frigates are going to get to roll their dice, once again, looking for 6s. And we got 1. So one of these would be sunk. That would go back to the supply. Supplies are up here. And I would still have these 4 corsairs are now out pirating. So I'm going to roll 6-sided dice again. Now on a 5 or a 6, they capture shipping. So there was a 6 right there. A 5 and a 6, so there'd be 2. Bam. Those are 2 gold coins to the pirate player. Once again, remember, if there's 12 gold coins in the pirate player's possession at any time, they've automatically won. Eventually, what's going to happen, and of course, the pirate player is going to be able to recruit more troops as well. But eventually, what's going to happen is there's going to be an army formed of allies, Arab allies, and Marines. Just kind of give you an example here. And at some point, the American player is probably going to try to invade Tripoli. So what happens when you've got ships and ground forces, in fact, I'll pull these out, is this would be considered a bombardment. So I would roll my dice. Once again, we're looking at the sixes. And on a 6, there's 1. You would eliminate 1 ground force. Now, that's if there's no naval forces whatsoever, if it's just like that. Otherwise, we have a naval battle as well. So at some point, eventually, we're going to have maybe, because remember, one of the ways that the pirates win is if they defeat the invading army. So it's you got to make sure as an American player that you've got pretty good odds if you decide you're going to invade Tripoli, because what they're basically trying to do is they're trying to put a king basically who's friendly to the U.S. on the throne. But if that army is defeated, then the pirates automatically win. So it's not easier to win as the pirates. It's just you have more avenues to win as the pirates. So eventually what's going to happen is you're going to play through 1806 if you have not gotten to the point where either side has reached their victory conditions. If you get through 1806 and nobody's won, then the game will end in a draw. So it is possible for you to finish up in a draw in this game as well. There is a solitaire element to the game, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to go through a bunch about it, but you'll actually have, you'll play as the Americans, but you're going to have a row of cards for the pirates. And it's like the pirates have their own kind of bot. It's like the T-bot. And depending on what's going on, will determine what cards that you would actually use. And it's pretty interesting. And once you wrap your head around it, because it's possible for you to get a few rows of these event cards in front of you. So once you understand how these are used, it moves along pretty nicely, and it actually provides a pretty good challenge for the solitaire player as well. All in all, in essence, that is how you play the Shores of Tripoli. So let's swing on over to the other camera, and I am going to share my final thoughts as well as a review score. As I mentioned early in this review, I am a huge fan of card-driven games. Always have been. Love Twilight Struggle. It's still one of my top 5 games. My best friend Elliot and I, we get to play 1960 quite a bit. Love that as well. I am a huge fan of card-driven games. I'm a huge fan of games that I have not gotten to play historically before, right? As far as I know, this is the only board game that tackles the American Navy versus the corsairs of the Barbary Coast. Maybe there's another one out there, but I'm not aware of it. This game is very easy to understand, very easy to get into, but it is also one of these games where you need to play it a few times so that you understand not only the cards that are in your deck, but the cards that are in your opponent's deck as well. Because you won't know how to kind of balance, you weigh your options until you have a better feel for what's in your deck and what's in your opponent's deck. Really, really do like that as well. Component quality is really, really nice. I got to say, I really do wish that there were some player aids, just even if they were just on a card, to kind of remind the players, okay, depending on what side you're on, what you're able to do. Granted, it's not like you have tons and tons of options when you discard a card to not use as an event to kind of do a basic action. But it would have been nice to have that. I think it's very cool that not only do we get a rule book, which is very, very easy to read through. It's only a few pages long as well. We also get a book that talks about the history of what's going on in this game. What is this game actually simulating? And some designer notes as well. I think this is the first game that's come out from Fort Circle Games. And I got to say, this is a winner. I really, really do like this game. It plays quickly, which most card-driven games do play, at least move along rather quickly. You're not going to spend much more than an hour, even when you're first learning how to play the game, to come to a conclusion with it. The game never overstays its welcome, never seems to drag on. And I got to be honest, playing as the pirate, which I've had to do more often than get to play as the Americans, the American player has to keep their eyes peeled because the 12 gold is actually the fastest way and probably the easiest way for the pirate player to win. The American player, they have to wait a certain amount of time. They can't form that army to invade Tripoli right off the bat. They can't try to get the pirates to sign a peace treaty right off the bat. The pirate player, on the other hand, can go out pirating, get the gold coins, and there you go. It's their victory. All in all, really, really do like this. I think this is an excellent game design. And gotta say, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It is that good. Only little ding I have against it is at a $66 MSRP, I think it's a touch high. I think it's a little high. That's really the only knock I've got against this as well. So really, really cool. Really enjoyed it. All right, that's it for this time out. Once again, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ding that bell, because it will not only let you know when I upload videos such as this review, but also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. And as I tend to wrap up all my videos during this never-ending pandemic, here's hoping all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, by all means, click right here. And if you'd like to check out one of our recent live streams, click right up top. And if you want to roll the dice and see what the algorithm for YouTube recommends, click right here. And of course, thank you once again for watching. And gang, please stay safe and wear a mask.